all Hispanic
Call
children
Allah
in the
Yahweh
U.S. are
Bashim
born
Yahweh
out of wedlock.
Double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone.
More than
Salutations to all you
70%
brothers
of
out there on
all
the highways and
African-American
byways,
children
teaching
are
the
born out of
truth
wedlock.
in truth and sincerity. It's the brother Yahudan. I got a lesson on the effects and the devices of these wicked men, because they forever and
1
continue
out of
to
3
play a
children
part
in
in the
America
Lord's
live
party
in
season.
homes without
Hopefully
their
this is
biological
edifying.
fathers. This means 24 million kids are growing up in homes without their dads.
Children who grow up in fatherless homes are 5 times as likely to be poor.
Fatherless boys and girls are 2 times as likely to drop out of high school, 2 times as likely to end up in jail, and 4 times as likely to have emotional and behavioral problems.
71% of pregnant teenagers grow up without a father.
71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes.
70% of juveniles in state reform institutions grew up in single-parent homes or without
their hands on bars, shackled, in the world, are locked up here in the land of the free.
Khalif Browder was walking home from a party when he was stopped by police.
Then they said, we're going to take you to the precinct, and most likely we're going to let you go home, and then I never went home.
The 13th Amendment to the Constitution makes it unconstitutional for someone to be held as a slave. There are exceptions, including criminals.
The loophole was immediately exploited. What you got after that was a rapid transition to a mythology of black criminality.
Some people got the real problem.
Animals, beasts that needed to be controlled.
You better believe it.
I'm only human.
It became virtually impossible for a politician to run and appear soft on crime.
The kinds of kids that are called super predators.
Millions of dollars will be allocated for prison and jail facilities.
3 strikes and you are out.
It was an enormous burden on the black community, but it also violated a sense of core fairness.
Some people got the real problem.
States were required to keep these prisons filled, even if nobody was committing a crime.
It's so difficult to talk about mass incarceration because it has become heavily monetized.
The focus is on taking people from prison, putting them in community corrections, parole and probation.
How much progress is it really if now there's a private company making money off the GPS monitor?
We now have more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves back in the 1850s.
We are the products of the history that our ancestors chose. Products of that set of choices that we have to understand in order to escape from it.
We should go looking somewhere high.
5 times the average suicide rate. All right, you have jakes that will go and sell drugs and become go join gangs because they look and they require that need from a brother. They need that support from somebody in their life because their father is in prison due to the same thing, the same type of behavior. All right, so they'll go and join a gang, or go join some type of movement, which ends up either getting them killed by the police, killed by themselves, or killed by another brother in a system like that. Or, like it says, suicide by themselves because they're so emotionally distraught because they had no guidance from an adolescent to an adult. They had no guidance in their life, so they didn't know what the hell to do with themselves. Because your father is very, very important to who you are. In fact, you are who you are through your father. So wouldn't it make sense that through your blood and through your flesh, the man that created you needs to be present to teach you about yourself? Because you were there and as a father, you were living your life even before your child was born. And don't you know yourself? Isn't it important that yourself, you would need to instill those same, foundation on your children? Dramatically increase rates of depression and anxiety. And I'll speak for myself, man. I didn't really have an opportunity to have my father in my life all too much, because he was in prison. All right. And his father before him, and this is a chain reaction, man. And it's obvious to see what these devils have done to try and destroy not even try, have destroyed our family units, have destroyed who we are as a nation of people to a great extent. All right. But growing up myself without a father, that was a hard thing, man. You know, my mom didn't really have the ability to put things into my mind that I needed to be worried about. In fact, a lot of times my mom led me astray. And like I said, I'm not shaking women and their importance in their kids' lives, but a woman cannot be a man and cannot raise a child like a man. It doesn't matter how hard or what she does to do it. All right, 32 times the average rate of incarceration. So that's a perfect example. You have more Jakes in America now and around the world that are locked up in prisons. And this man's paradigm and his platform, his entire device, his scheme, this is a device. It's a trick. It's a trap. It was all set up this way on purpose. So it will lead you to a street life. It'll lead you to go do things that you have no business doing. Abandoning your own kids. All right. Like I said, assisted suicide, either by death by cop or death by your own brother, man. They're over here placing drugs and guns in communities. So of course, you have no choice, but you can't get a job because they don't hire Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans like they do everybody else. So of course, you can't get a job. And then the recidivism rate of being in prison, they expect you to go out there after you get out on parole or probation and go redo the same thing. In fact, my uncle, he got out on parole on a 10-year sentence, and he was in there. He did a good 4 or 5 years, and then he fucked up because the system is so you get caught jaywalking on parole, you going back to prison, man. So the recidivism rate, it's all a scheme, and it's set up that way on purpose to keep Jake destroyed in a very low and unfunctional state. A decreased education levels and increased dropout rates. I didn't make it through high school. How many Jakes didn't make it through high school? And that's not even to talk about the things that schools are set up to do. Schools in America are set up to lie to you, make you think that everything's fair and equal, that you have an opportunity to beat the system, which is a good thing. If a brother goes and he goes through Esau's system and he has the wherewithal to get through everything and make it through and he has enough integrity to do that's great, man. But that doesn't stop the bigger problem, man, because 90% of your brothers can't do it. If you one of those 10% of Jakes that had a family unit or had a father and a mother and you made it, congratulations, man. But 90% of your brothers didn't. Okay, you are nothing without your brothers. Doesn't matter how hard you try. So you sell out Jakes that made it to the top or have some type of status in America, you are truly fooled and truly deceived. And so are you women, you Israelite women, that think that having other babies by other nations is going to benefit you. Here it is, you're an Israelite and you're spreading another nation's seed. You won't even come out of that man's nuts. You won't even come out of his seed because you are who you are through your father. And if you're an Israelite woman, you have babies with other nations, or you leaving your man for a heathen because he has money or power, or because this system was set up to benefit him. So he had a family unit to teach him how to excel in school. And of course, school was designed for him to make it through and just breeze by. Now he has a great job and a great car and a great thing. Now you Israelite women are all interested in him and you bashing your own men. So stupid that you don't even realize that the whole system was set up to destroy your nation in general. Because what is a nation without the men? What is a nation without the seed of that nation? Selling out your children or your men. And men selling out themselves by perpetrating their own brothers, not realizing the bigger picture of what this so-called devil, this so-called Caucasian, has done to our people. This system has been set up as a device. Why do you think they call hustling the trap? Why do you think why do you think they have everything so conveniently set up for Israelites to destroy their lives? You ain't got no education, all right? Consistently lower average income levels, of course. So when you can't make enough money to feed your kids, either A, you're going to leave your family, or B, you're going to go commit crime. Either or, you're going to be out of your kid's life because when you go to prison or you dip out because you can't handle the pressure, of trying to support a family that you can't even support, what are you going to do? Either way, your kids is going to grow up without a father. And now your woman is on that stepstone to go rely on Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and this devil's system to try and support herself and the kids. And here it is. She has all the grace and all the glory from the world that she's doing so good and that she's doing the best she can as a single mother. And don't get me wrong, there's certain Jakes out there that do fit that role of scumbag, man, that had an opportunity to be in their kid's life and threw it all away. Heck, even a part of myself, there's a lot of things that I could have done differently to be a better father to my kid before my woman decided to go do the wicked shit that she did, you know? But that doesn't change the fact that you have to realize our state of security right now. I should say state of insecurity. All right, lower job security. All right, you can't hold a job being a Negro, Latino, or Native American because you didn't have a daddy. He didn't instill morals in your life. He didn't instill integrity into your life. In fact, a lot of the brothers in GMS, all we have is Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah and the elder apostles and the other brothers in camps. In fact, I look up to elder brothers in other camps and the elder apostles as father figures because they're the ones teaching how to live right, how to get your mind right, how to see the world for what it is, not lying to you. All right, and that's true love, man. That is true love, if you ask me. All right, substantially increased rates of substance abuse. So you drug addicts, Jake is. There was a long time that they pushed crack and drugs and guns into Jake neighborhoods. If you ask the elder Malcolm in Chicago, and the brothers in Chicago, they will put drop-off boxes of crates of automatic militarized weapons in the hood where Jake is at, and just leave it there. And some Jake will come across a crate full of automatic extended clip handguns and assault rifles. You can't even purchase that shit in America if you're an Edomite. Doesn't that start to make you think? Doesn't that start to make you wonder and worry about what kind of system that we're living in right now? Increase in social and mental behavioral issues. You got Jakes that's jacked up, is so-called schizophrenics, or have ADHD and all this and that. They can't function, man. Because when you take a man away from his children and you take the ability for a man to be a part of his kid's life, it destroys that nation's ability to progress positively. You hinder the ability of the entire nation to continue to grow. It's basically like throwing a grenade into somebody's pocket. It's like hitting the self-destruct button. You don't even have to kill Jake no more. Even though the Edomites and these devils do. But they have it so cleverly figured out that they allowed us to destroy ourselves. They hit us where it hurts. They took our kids away from us. Our livelihood. Jake loves his kids, man. And these devils take our kids away from us with no remorse. They set it up to where they don't want us to be a part of our kids' life. Especially now that Jake's starting to wake up and realizing our true nationality. That's a problem for this devil, man. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wise. So you wives, you have to be in subjection to your husbands. You know, a relationship between a man and a woman is mutual. Of course, the man is above the woman, but the point is, a woman is not supposed to be deciding whether or not a man can have a role in her kids' lives, her children's lives. And in the kingdom, in the righteous platform, there won't be any type of that stuff going on. You see, because men, they need to be guided by the Holy Spirit. Otherwise, they start to go off. And women, they need to be guided by their men. Otherwise, they are designed to go off. And likewise, children need to be guided by both of their parents and each of their roles in order to be prevented from going off. Well, they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. You know, women are supposed to be fearful of their husbands. You know, with fear comes respect. You know, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God a great price. So, you know, you women, you sell out your men for these additional goodies where, you know, of course you don't have to work now because you're on federal assistance or even state assistance, but you see, you know, that jewelry and that child support that you're spending on your nails and your outer image is all in vain. All right. You know, the scriptures command that, you know, a woman be in subjection to her husband. And that certainly doesn't mean that she is, you know, authorized by the Most High to trust in Esau and replace her husband for whatever reason. Okay. That's just plain. You know, so there's an order in this thing. The man, it must be required through man to be obedient to the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. You know, we're as sheep, and if we don't have a shepherd, then we are lost. And the same applies for women. You know, there's no room for bucking up. You know, there's a deliberate balance and order within these things. And both man and woman have a necessary role in a child's life, more so a father, for the well-being of that youth to be brought up correctly through the laws and statutes and commandments. Otherwise, you have a bunch of effeminate niggas walking around like you see in today's society, or you see the family unit as busted up as it is, where men and women don't know what they want to be. They want to be a man and a woman, and they want to be a dog on Wednesday and a parrot on Friday. You know, that's what this system, it spawns confusion, and through confusion and unrighteousness creates destruction and death. All right, so our goal is to move away from the ways of death and strive for the ways of life. For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in God. Okay, so for you women that trust in who you call God, adorn themselves. And that doesn't mean being vain and arrogant. You know, adorn themselves, they had self-respect, being in subjection unto their own husbands. See, it was a matter of self-respect to be in subjection to their husbands for the sake of their faith and the respect of themselves to be in subjection, which means under their husbands. You know, fulfilling their husband's will, making sure the kids listen to their dad, not trusting thine enemy and selling the father out for state and federal assistance. You know, this means also, you know, getting on brothers, man, not selling your family out for you know, another life or abandoning your kids, because Lord knows that's just as bad. And ultimately, all that does is provoke further destruction on the nation as a whole. A large part of this is the reason why Israel's in the lowest state we're in right now, refusing to understand the true history of our people. Okay? Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. So that's the spirit that, you know, we need our women to be. And of course, on the other side, that will be something that's without question. That's how it will be. Your women will be in subjection and order. She won't be displacing the family unit, all in the necessity of her own well-being, not even thinking about the children or the further thought of the implications of that decision, but simply, like the scripture says, the glory of plaiting her own hair, or the adorning of outward appearance, or wearing of gold. And that's what this society has perpetrated now, is a lust for vain objects, things that truly don't have any value, especially in comparison to the truth. This is Psalms 83:2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. A part of that crafty counsel is the same tactic to try and remove the man from the house. And this promotes questioning from the son, now listening to a woman all the time because he can't take, you know, male guidance in any way because he didn't have his father. I mean, the implications are truly endless. The scriptures say that your daughter needs stiff and chastening rebuke, and to not let her or your wife gad abroad, because if you let a woman gad abroad, that's where the beginning of sin happens, man. Basically these scriptures, prove that this crafty, device, this scheme was set up in order to limit the progression of our people. And it's important that we recognize the true damage that things like this, that Esau, Edom, the so-called Caucasians have done in order to keep us from knowing who we are and fulfilling our roles in history as the true prophets of the Lord. And they did say, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And how do you think that the name of Israel won't be in remembrance? Because typically in history, family information and knowledge of self and you know, um, integrity and things that a man should aspire to be would be passed down from a father to a son, and morals from a father to a daughter. You would carry on that same understanding and knowledge of self from generation to generation. But here it is now, you have a situation where now your father is no longer a part of the family unit, either because he was murdered or because he ran away because he couldn't support the family, or even if he was forced out because Esau Edom has created a system to replace the male, especially in so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American households. That is one of the main things that leave Israel without remembrance of who we are. In fact, our people are the only people on earth that don't have a traceable history, at least that's known outright. Of course, if you understand you're an Israelite, our history is the most in-depth of all nations, but to a two-thirds, you ask them where they come from, and the furthest thing that they can remember is the plantation. Or even a Northern Kingdom brother, the furthest they can remember is being a so-called native on the North American continent. All right, they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, and they have put their differences aside. These heathens, as greedy and as voluptuous as they are, to bring forth an advantageous ideology to separate the family unit. What better way to destroy a nation than to put man against woman? You put a wife against a husband and a husband against a wife. And all that's going to spawn is confusion, disarray, and destruction to the further generations that come from that. And here it is, we have the aftermath of that whole thing. The whole ideology is still in effect, in full effect today. Now you have the nigger woman completely bugged out of her mind. The women of Israel in general, completely bugged out of their minds. You have two-thirds men completely bugged out of their minds. Now you have men and women trying to play each other's role, literally and mentally. You have children playing mom and dad's role because mom and dad are immature and can't be adults. And the extent of the madness has to stop. There has to be an end to this destruction, this unfruitful way. Otherwise, humanity will destroy itself. And here's our solution. This is Matthew 9:11. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, why eateth your master with publicans and sinners? But when Yahushua heard that, he said unto them, they that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. And that's the point. Our good news, our hope, is that Yahushua will make us whole again. We will be changed to have those bodies of righteousness where we won't go off anymore, where our entire nation will have that width and that health to have the correct integrity to follow the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments. To prevent things like fatherless children. or motherless children, or children that aren't being raised by their biological fathers, which is just as detrimental to a child. All right. So we need a physician because this society and this system that's set up is an error. It's incorrect. It's destructive. And you can look at the result of something throughout its history. So regardless of the Bible that, or somebody's opinion using the scriptures, it cannot be argued that this type of structure in America or this Edomite culture is progressive in any way or positive in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. There's just no way. There's nothing that's beneficial about it. In fact, it's so obvious that this is destructive to the ideals of a family. You look at the family structure in the 40s and 50s with Edomites in America, and you look at the progression into today's day and age, or even a few decades ago, and now Edomite women are ruling over their men. You know, Edomite men are straight coming out the closet, finally letting everybody know that they're true homosexuals. Edomite women running the world, trying to be the best they can over the men, and you have the destruction of their family units as well. Now you have a large percentage of Edomites in prison due to the same thing that these Edomites created crafty counsel to put Jake behind bars and leave us restricted as a nation to progress. But go ye and learn what that meaneth. I will have mercy and not sacrifice, for I am not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. And that's our objective. Looking at these froward ways and realizing the negativity of the outcome of our decisions. Realizing that, hey, it's not about how I think or what I feel. What is the real outcome of what a certain decision or choice would make? That's been proven throughout history. So for me to make a decision as an educated adult to continue to make a decision that ends up the way that having a fatherless family ends up, wouldn't that make me insane? Wouldn't that make me, you know, wicked? In the sense that a lunatic would do the same thing over expecting a different result. In fact, I believe it's Albert Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So we that are sick as a nation, we are still in slavery, and we're waiting for Yahushua to redeem us and change us into perfection. But we need to realize that the results of what society has proclaimed for these last couple centuries, the outcome of decisions. Okay, because you can know a man by his fruit, and Esau's fruit is that of the wicked and destruction and hurt and sorrow. So that man is known by his fruits. It's even more evident. All right. What does the truth do? It brings you into light. It brings you into beginning to heal yourself. It's a healthy choice to follow the Bible in life and in spirit. Now you ask yourself why that is because it's the truth. Talk is talk, but results speak for themselves. This is Isaiah 42 and 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled, robbed of our nation, our nationality, and our history, robbed of an opportunity to be raised by our fathers, robbed of an opportunity to have a mother in the correct spirit, in obedient spirit, robbed and spoiled. We have no future in America. Spoiled is in we work in a tax farm where we pay endless amounts of money into a pyramid scheme where we have just enough to maybe fill our bellies and keep the lights in the warm room, the lights on in the warm room. Robbed and spoiled in the spiritual sense and in the physical. They are all of them snared in holes. Snare being a trap, trapped in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth; for a spoil, and none saith restore. Because it's written in Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, that no man shall buy us out of captivity. No man. We need the Messiah to come back and restore correction unto our people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, knowing that it's essential to eliminate these mechanisms in society, and at least in our people's habits, to stop things like disenfranchised families, to see the importance of a family unit, to see the importance and the longevity of following these laws, statutes, and commandments, recognizing who our real enemies are, and seeing this system and this society for what it is. Okay, because like the video said in the 13, which brothers should check out if they have a chance, very edifying. Esau has stored away an innumerable amount of Jakes in prison. In fact, that's one thing that never stops growing in America is the prison population. And you wonder why you think that is. The scripture said the Lord's people are in prisons, are hid in prison houses. If you look at the majority of African Americans and Hispanics and Native Americans, where are they at? There's a large part of my own family that I never knew due to the fact that they were in penal systems or in penitentiaries. See, none can saith restore, because at the end of the day, this type of stuff is a curse unto us. The lack of ability to keep a family unit, and there's nothing you can do to stop it from happening, because we are yet to this day subject to payments. That's Baruch chapter 3, I believe it is. All right, no man shall save us. This is a curse unto us. You read Deuteronomy chapter 68. For this day, this law given unto the Israelites is either a blessing or a curse. So there's nothing you can do to prevent your woman from bucking up against you and taking your kids, if that's what the Lord has required of you as a curse, or will prevent, no matter what type of unity or coming together of the nation of Israel, will prevent the destruction of the family unit, not until Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai says so. And that being with Yahushai coming back and restoring true peace and order on the earth. Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Did not the Lord? He against whom we have sinned, for they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. So it's a comforting thing, but it's a hurtful thing too, to know that our own disobedience is what causes our deepest pain. Going against our only hope and power, be it Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and as a result, now we are hurting in the deepest and most sincere ways. It shows you how important the Lord is to us. In fact, we're nothing without Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And look at what we are when we try and be or play the role of God, big G, instead of playing the roles of a little g gods. Disenfranchised family units, given for a spoil, given for the robbers to pick our bones until we're dry. Our women to be ravaged by other nations, even men of our own nation, ravaging our own women, committing adultery, committing the worst sins unto the Lord, things that require death and judgment, things that can not go unanswered. Losing your family, losing time with your kids, watching your kids grow up in a wicked place like this, watching your woman open her legs for another man, watching your woman come against you, bugging out. No matter what you do, you can't ever get it right. Doesn't matter what you do. Be a millionaire, your woman's still bugging out. Can't help it because the curses are on her. All right, I'm going to end it on Psalms 33:10. The Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect. And see, even though this has cataclysmically affected the Israelites to unknown proportions, only the Lord knows. What we can see and what we can tell by the side effects of a disenfranchised family, the effects are exponential. There is no limit to the side effects of disenfranchising a family unit, raising a child without a father. But you see, it's okay, because even though this was brought upon us as a punishment, the good news is that everything will be made right in time. We just have to have patience and hope in the Lord's word and his promises that he will make our families whole again, that he will give us our little ones back, that he will allow us to enjoy our children's life as they're growing up, to be there for your kids when you were robbed or spoiled of the opportunity to do it, and looking at yourself knowing that it was only our fault for this to happen in the first place. All right, but that's the beauty of the Lord. The Lord loves us that much that he maketh the devices of the people of none effect. Even though this damage is irreversible, the Lord has the power through Yahweh Shai to come back and make all of this right again. And what's not to love about that? What's not to fear about that? So it's time to turn away from your enemy and time to return back to the spirit and the power of who has always loved you and will never stop loving you. With that, I say shalom.